here every Wednesday at 7 p.m. because we want to grow you as a defender.
The defender seeks the challenge of standing up for what's morally and ethically right, and is willing to step forward and put themselves in harm's way because they believe that sacrifice and love is the way to do things.
And what we mean by that is that you can grow as a good shooter, but what we're really here for is to help you grow personally as a defender. We know that personal growth and shooting growth go hand in hand, and we want to work to help you become better people in your lives, in your everyday lives, and that's going to translate to your shooting on the range. So that's what we're here for. Hello, everybody. It is Wednesday night again. How did the week go by so fast? You are watching Defenders Live, and I am your host, Laura Thorson. It's October 12th, 2022. Welcome to the show. If you're new or watching this as a replay, I want to welcome you as well. We have a lot to get through tonight and some really cool stuff that I'm really excited to share with you guys. If you have any questions or comments during the live, feel free to drop those in the comments. We love hearing from you. Last week, we had lots of engagement in the comments, and that made for a really awesome show. I want to run a quick promo here to let you know that our sponsor for the week for this Defenders Live is Haven Defense Company. Be sure to check out Haven Defense Company. Britt Hickman and his family own this top-notch holster company in Colorado. All of his products are made in the USA, and their customer service is unbeatable. Don't take my word for it. Check it out on his website yourself. Brent makes sure each holster that leaves his shop is the very best holster he can deliver for you. He's my go-to guy for all things concealment. For 10% off any holster, go to havendefenseco.com and use promo code DEFENDERS at checkout. Huge thank you to Haven Defense Company, Brent Hickman, and family. Thank you so much for supporting Defenders Live. We had a little snafu last week with the comments, and so I want to again address that. If you are putting comments in and you're seeing them come up on the screen as Facebook user instead of your name, and you want your name to show, then you need to go to one of the public channels that's showing the live stream, which would be Defenders USA Facebook page or Defenders USA YouTube channel, and also Defenders Live Rumble page. So if you want your name to show up with your comment, that's where you need to go to put your comments in. If you're on a private Facebook group, it's going to show Facebook users. So now that that's settled, please, I would love to hear from you in the comments. Where are you watching from tonight? Please shout out in the comments where you're watching from. We would love to hear from you. One last thing here before I move on and introduce my co-host. Really hard for me to do, guys, but I'm just going to throw this out there. So if you enjoy these live streams and you want to help out, we are switching. I am switching my internet because the last probably month of live streams has been a pretty stressful thing for me because I'm never sure if my internet is going to work correctly or not. So I'm working really hard to make sure that in the future that's not an issue. And so I do have something set up on JNL Training. If you want to go to jnltraining.com, you can contribute to that if you want. You don't have to, no pressure, but I'm just throwing that out there. That would be really helpful because what I'm switching to is not cheap. So I just want to throw that out there in case you're interested in that. Okay, let's move on. So as always, we have Adam Winch in the background. He's behind the scenes in the virtual green room, I guess I'd like to say. And he's the founder and lead instructor of Defenders USA. And he'll be back there and watching from the wings, but he may chime in during this live because he has some personal experience with our special guest tonight. If you want to learn more about me or about Adam, you can go to defendersusa.com to find out more about us. All right. So before I bring on our special guest, Ryan Thiele from Iron American, I'm so stoked to have him on tonight. I do have a tidbit of the week for you. And I think what I'm going to call this tidbit of the week is ready. So, have you ever had times in your life where you thought, I'm just not ready for this? I recently found myself saying this to someone. I say this sometimes. I think I said it today, actually. I'm not sure I'm ready to do that. And the reality behind saying, I'm not sure I'm ready to do that is really just being afraid of the unknown. And I think from time to time, we're all, guilty of that. But in many of my discussions with others in the firearms community recently, I've seen a pattern. And so it made me think about this concept of being ready. On one hand, I find there are people I know who are, in my mind, qualified to do something, but they don't think they have much to offer. And so they don't. And I see this over and over, especially in my small group of people here locally. And it really is sad to me to see that. But on the other hand, I see people who often ego driven automatically think they're qualified to do something. Have you ever met someone like that? And it's quite clear to everyone around them that they have no clue. But everyone else around them just goes along with it and kind of cringing on the inside while it's happening, right? And this is even worse. I won't even get into this side of the spectrum tonight, only to say that being humble and being wise are two very important qualities to have, right? Am I right about that? Shout out in the comments if you're relating to this. So, to those of you who have self doubt and are hesitant to step up to the plate because you're afraid you aren't ready, my question to you is, when will you be ready? And the honest answer to that is usually some external factor, like a made up mile marker of some kind. And while planning is a good thing, I want to ask you, are you really being honest with yourself? Why are you waiting for that thing? What's really holding you back? And the truth is that many times we're never really ready to do anything, or rarely are we fully ready. And that readiness depends on the person, of course. But like, was I really ready to have kids? Is is there really a way to get fully ready for that? Could I do every single thing possible? Well, I could try, but would I fully be ready? Was I really ready to move from being an employee to now running my own company? I can tell you absolutely not. I was not ready for that, but I did it anyway. I knew it was the right thing to do. And we can prepare as much as possible and I think the larger problem though is a lack of foundational confidence and mindset to know that no matter what, I've done all that I can to be the person God has designed me to be. And I try to live that every single day. And some days I fail, but I try every single day to do that. So, and the reason I do that is so that no matter what comes my way, I will handle it to the best of my ability. And I will try and I will fail. And I will know that I'll still be okay no matter what. So, for those of you who have a passion to do something outside of your comfort zone, I want to tell you that, in my opinion, the hardest part of the process isn't the doing. It's the getting started. It's the thinking about it. It's the anticipation. It's the hesitation, and that will leave you stuck. Oftentimes, you'll find yourself in analysis paralysis. So, get into action, baby step your way to success. One small step forward each day can get you so far, farther than you can imagine over time. Be intentional with your time and your focus, and truly be honest with yourself about why you aren't getting where you want to go. I mean, this could be shooting, this could be relationships, it could be fitness, it could literally be anything you aspire to be or do. And if you're not ready now for whatever it is in life, then get ready. There is no time like the present. And as one of my good friends always says, you're burning daylight. So get out there and try. So what if you fail? Learn, grow, and keep moving. You'll never be ready in the way that you personally want to be. So what? Do it anyway. And above all, have faith that you have been prepared for such a time as this. Because I guarantee you that you will regret not facing your fears and moving past uncertainty much more than stepping out into the uncertain and trying your best. And who knows, you may surprise yourself with what you can accomplish. All right, that's my little tidbit of the week. Hope that helps somebody out there. And I want to move on here to the next section of our show. All right, our special guest tonight is Ryan Thiele, and I think what I just gave you for a tidbit of the week is going to tie in great with what we'll be talking about tonight. Ryan is the owner of Iron American, and he has an inspiring story. He is one of those guys that he he's got a great life experience, and he's one of those guys that's built his business from the ground up, and he has a lot of interesting information he can share with us tonight. He's not one of the, he's not a hardcore gun guy, although he enjoys hunting and the Second Amendment like many of us do, but he has a fitness background. He used to be a personal trainer, and he has an incredible product too that Adam's going to be talking about with us later. I think that maybe will help you in your shooting training. So this product is relevant to the shooting world. So I'm going to bring Ryan on here with me tonight. Hi, Ryan. Welcome.
Hey, hey, how are y'all doing?
Glad that you could be on tonight. So I would just want to learn a
Thanks for
little
having me.
bit about you. First off, so could you give us some background about you for those that don't know you to start off with?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Maryland. I've lived in Charleston, South Carolina now, and I've lived here for about 10 years. Like you said earlier, I was a trainer for a lot of years, and I loved doing what I did for all those years. But I wanted more, and like a lot of us out there, I think that resonates with them as well. So I just like you were saying, it wasn't ready. You're never ready for anything. You just kind of find an opportunity and you go for it. And the harder you work, the more opportunities you find. And of course, yeah, lucky, whatever. Yeah, everyone gets lucky. Everyone has bad luck, but it's what you do with the luck and the opportunities that are presented. And luckily for me, I had an opportunity that led to where I am today. And we started Iron American about 7 years ago. And every day I wake up and extremely grateful for being in the position that I'm in.
Yeah, gratitude is a huge part of it, I think. And we were talking yesterday about, how overwhelmed you get sometimes in your business, but
Very,
seems like you're
yeah.
kind of married to the business sometimes. But when you have a lot of gratitude, it helps with that a lot. You think about how far you've come and what you've built up, and you really have to remind yourself of that sometimes, I'm sure. So, so the timeline on Iron American, you were a personal trainer beforehand. How did this all come about?
Right. So I had a client that I was training, became pretty good friends, and he was like, "Yeah, I hate coming to the gym." It's like, "Let's build a gym at the house." So I was like, "All right, don't tell me twice." So we built like a pretty cool garage gym, and there was always things that we had that were like, "Man, this has no place for this. This is all over the place. Like this is getting rusty. This is getting damaged." And we would have a couple cups of coffee, and ideas would start to percolate, and then over time, this particular client, he was a little, probably at the time late 40s, early 50s, and he had his own Amazon business, completely non fitness related or anything. And then had a shop, and I had an opportunity to make some of these these items, from gym storage equipment items, some real things like some dumbbell racks and some all multi-purpose jump rope racks and gym chain racks and things like that. And it was crazy. It was obviously a side thing. And so, all right, I got the Amazon account, I got the website going, and I made some, and all of a sudden, I still remember to this day, like getting excited about like selling like just two items a day, and how like I just watched the phone and the sound, it was just like,
Everybody starts somewhere, right?
yeah, it was the most
Yeah.
like euphoric thing ever. And it was just it
Yeah.
was addictive. And it was like, wow, this is like people actually like what I've made. Like, this is great. The reviews are awesome. People love it. So, months go by, 3 months, 6 months, a year. And I've got, this is probably about a year or so into it, maybe 12 to 18 months into it. And I've got like 3 products now. We started making baseball bat racks, like speed rope racks, and then just a regular multi-purpose rack. And at that point, I was actually we were doing enough sales to where I didn't really have to train anymore. Of course, I still did because I loved it, and I was running boot camps and things. But um, it was like that one feeling. And if you ever hear a lot of successful people talk, and about, it can be very billionaires, and they always say one thing is like once they made like enough money to cover their just day-to-day lives, like their rent or their food, the whole world kind of just lifted off their shoulders. And that's kind of where it was, is that I was able to now, hey, I don't have to train all hours of the day. I don't have to run
Mhm.
3 jobs. I don't have to wear all the
Yeah.
hats. I can focus on something I really love to do.
Yeah,
And
you're no longer in survival mode, right?
correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's kind of where it is find that base of whatever you love to do in business, and just make enough. If you want to, if you want to be a successful entrepreneur with it, you make enough money to be able to cover your life, your basic needs, and then get really creative, then dive into it. But yeah, it was just kind of that year and a half. I was just like, this can't be real. Like this is,
Oh, and we have pictures too. Should I add the pictures now?
yeah. So this was
This was
actually
back in the
back in
day.
this is, yeah. So that's actually late. That's about 2 or 3 in the morning. I'm done training, running boot camps, and this was my time, my shop time, that I was allowed to go in and do my product. So I've got a bandana on my head, and you are completely unrecognizable. And I've got powder coat all over my face, and I'm sweating, and I've got just dirt everywhere. And it's actually a really funny story. Like one of those nights, I was probably had too much coffee or too much caffeine, and I cleaned up the shop. I got all that done, and then I was like, man, I don't have any food at the house. So I ended up going, completely forgot what I was wearing, and I go to the grocery store, and I've got like yellow and black powder coat on my. I look like I just, I was in a Rambo set, and and I'm like, people looking at me, and I'm halfway through the store. I'm like, oh my god. Like, so, but anyway, yeah, it was wild at the time, and I look back on that and how frustrating and tired and exhausting it all was. But I loved every minute of it. I really did. But yeah, that actually is like the little yellow thing there is the edge of the very first product we made, which was the fin X. It was like a shark fin, and it was welded and powder coated yellow, and then the racks were gold, which kind of set the base colors of the black and gold that we do with the Iron American these days. But yeah, that was, I think, late 2016. And there's a press break. I had to do all those manually by hand. If anyone's out there watching that bought one of the early ones, that was probably one of them. That was even before we had the logo in the racks, and I had to do all of those by hand that was actually the step up. That was a hydraulic press brake. I actually had the bottle jack one where I had to pull down, and I was like 16 pulls was for this bend and 8 was for that bend. I had a whole list of things, and it was wild. But yeah,
Good
I loved
times
every
though,
minute
right?
of it. So
Yeah, good
yeah.
times. Yeah, I often do. I think even last week when we were on our live, I talk about how it's so important to look back on where you came from and realize how far you've come, because I think a lot of overachiever type A personalities, we just drive and drive and drive and drive, and we don't take the time a lot of times to look back in retrospect and realize how far we've come.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, are there any like future big time goals for Iron American that we don't? Didn't you say something about you were getting ready to go into Walmart or something? I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. So
that's kind of a big deal.
yeah, it's scary. It's pretty exciting. Again, it's, always goes down to, try to be the most humble and smartest person you can be, but, work hard, and, it's not always about what it's who and having good relationships. I was lucky enough to have a friend here in Charleston that knew a guy that knew a guy, and 2020 happened, and we were in an interesting position because we're an American made company. All of our racks are made in South Carolina, and a lot of our competition, is noticeably Chinese, overseas, and stuff. So interestingly enough, something like this had never happened before, this pandemic, and at least in our time, and all the shelves were empty, and everyone was losing, these big box stores, billions and billions of dollars, because they couldn't get their products. So I'm sitting there, shining like a diamond, because I don't have these problems. I have everything
Yeah.
made in the States. So if you need to get it, I can get it to you tomorrow. All these companies that, were crushing it are now just out of business, more or less. So I had to make a massive pivot, because we were actually in the middle of changing on manufacturers in South Carolina. So pandemic hit, we could no longer send anything into Amazon's warehouses. we had to fulfill everything our own. So I was driving 3 hours twice a week up to the upstate to gather inventory, racks, whatever it was, because it was just flying off the shelves. Then I had to bring it back down to my house in Charleston and turn my shop into a fulfillment center. And we were shipping directly to customers. And what was really interesting and cool about that was that I was the last person to touch the products, other than like in a fulfillment center, like where you order Amazon Prime, you get it from a fulfillment center and ships from there. I was able to I would write notes on the products
Aw.
and on our product guides and say like, hey, like stay safe, happy lifting or whatever, random stuff. And it was so cool because all the time I would get emails or text back or just pictures of whatever I wrote. And it was really cool. And that's what I love about what I do, is that customer service aspect. But anyway, we were in a position that was very attractive to Walmart. And there was a gentleman, Rick, out in, I hope, Rick, if you're watching, his company, he was buddies with a guy here in Charleston, which is kind of how the connection made with us. And I started talking about 2 years ago. So it's been some time. It's been about 2.5 years. And it looks like next month, our liquid sports chalk is going to be going into just under 3,000 stores. And the rest of our line will be going in next year. So it's been a journey. There's a lot of red tape and a lot of struggles that come along with that. But you just got to stick with it and just have faith. So we're about to go into a whole nother world with the Iron American brand. And, hopefully everything goes smoothly as it can.
That is so cool to hear, and especially someone like you that really values that one-on-one contact with your
Yeah.
customers, that really cares. We were talking about that
Mhm.
the other day, how rare that is to find nowadays and how sad that is that people have lost and have a disconnect. And then when they find me too, if I find somebody that I really want to do business with, that I feel cares about me personally, I will spend more money to do business with that person than I will the next guy, just for that reason. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how business owners, no matter how big or small you are, that don't care about that. It blows my mind. If someone has a problem, this is, you created this problem for this person, technically, indirectly, and you should feel obligated. Hey, they spent their hard-earned money with you. You need to step up and take care of the problem. And I love doing that. I love doing it at times when like people don't expect it. It could be late at
yeah,
night on like a weekend. And I'm like, hey, what's up? Like, what can I help you with?
yeah.
No, we're not going to have that problem. I'll take care of that. Just the other day, a girl had a liquid chalk bottle that the cap was broken off. And I looked her up. She had ordered from us like 10 times, like over the past 8 months. I said, don't even worry about it. I said, I'm going to send you a replacement bottle and another one. I said, do you want the regular one? Which one do you want? And she was just like, really? Like, I was like, yeah, like that's what I would want. So I don't know. I've enjoyed that. And I think that's, what helps me keep my sanity on a day-to-day basis is that I love my customers. I love what I do. And I love going so far over and above to make
Mhm.
that happen for them.
Yeah, you're over delivering on every level, it sounds like. And that's probably the biggest difference I would say between your company and many others, is not just the customer service, but you've made a decision to do everything you can to keep everything American made, although your hands have been tied along the way. But that is one of the things you're really working hard to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been quite a test. It's been tough. We, over the past, like I said, since I think we went in business since 2016. So it's going on 7 years. And we've had, some steel spikes, and that really hurts us, when we have those, steel costs go through the roof, and then all of the inflation that's going on right now. People don't, it's bad, but like when you own a business and, you're 2020 was great for us, because we were in a position where people weren't demanding a lot of steel. We were the only game in town. So as good as it was in 2020, it was
Mhm.
equally as bad in the last year and a half. It's been rough. And there's been a lot of times where I'm like, look, months we're losing money. Like we're over advertising. We're competing against these Chinese products that are low quality. I just, there was a point where I was like, what do I do? Like, how do we reduce our costs? Are we really going to have to go overseas? Are we going to have to go somewhere else to get it cheaper? And I just was like, no, like I would sell the company to someone in the United States before I would do that. I just can't. That's what we stand by, and that's what people are buying. People want to buy an American-made product, and I'm
Yeah.
going to give that to them. So they, don't pick up the phone and get a hold of somebody they can't understand or can't get a hold of, and somebody that doesn't care. When you pick up the phone, you're calling me. Like, you're going to get a hold of me, and your product is good for life. So it's just, there's something to be said for the American made. It's tough at the end of the day. We're not making like, a Tesla or anything super proprietary. We are making racks at the end of the day. You are buying our brand, and you can look at all of our products. We have, top of the line reviews, and we've been around for a lot longer than our competition. So anyway, the point is yes, it's been very difficult. But I think with Walmart and their program, with the Made in USA, is gonna change the tide. I think a lot of people at home want things that are made in America. I think it's become extremely obvious, especially I think to a lot of your viewers. It's very important to them. So that's what we do, and that's what we're always going to do.
That's awesome. But I was thinking about what you were saying earlier about how dedicated you are to your customers. And you were saying, if they call the number, they're going to get me. So let's look at the flip side of that, because we talked a lot about, some of your business and / personal struggles with that. You're a lot like me in that aspect, maybe a slight control freak. Like, you really want your hands on the reins of everything. And that's a great thing, because you can put that personal touch on everything,
Mhm.
but there's a downside to that. So
There
talk
is.
to our audience about that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
That's
downside
a
of,
heavy sigh.
yeah, kind of leads in my group work joke, doesn't it?
hmm
Um,
Yeah, we'll
but
get there with the group work
yeah,
joke. Yeah, for sure.
but yeah, it's tough. It's tough to let go of the reins. And I'm gonna give a shout out to Wayne. Wayne has been. I found Wayne. I get emotional about it, because
Oh.
Wayne is. It's so funny, because you would look at Wayne and be like, Wayne is not anything you would imagine to be in fitness, but this guy loves what he does. He's so meticulous. He's so good at it. And, especially today, you don't find people like that. It's tough. You just kind of like, I was just talking to my girlfriend the other day. And she was just like, it's just to kind of expect people to kind of drop the ball. And that's really
Yeah.
hard to let go of the reins on something that you've built. And I'm,
Yeah.
blessed to have Wayne in my life. That he deals with all the shipping logistics, and he's been through a lot. He's been through 4 years of growth and all the frustrations and problems that we've had. But if you find a Wayne, you better hold on to him and value him. But the
Yeah.
day-to-day basis of the stress that you carry, it's difficult to let go. It's difficult to micromanage all the time. I struggle with trying to get away from being available all the time, like having a personal life. My personal time. I'd like to be. I'd like to be able to say that I've mastered that, but I'm not even close. I can't turn it off.
Right.
It'd be like, hey, from 11 to 12, go to the gym, and just don't answer your phone. Like, yeah, that's all sounds great, doesn't it? But what if there's this? What if this happens? What if that happens? But yeah, as
Right.
the company expands, that is going to be an area that where I'm going to have to grow in personally,
Mhm. Mhm.
and
You just
set
gotta
some.
find those Waynes. You gotta find the
You
right
do.
people,
I gotta
and
set
they're
some good
so hard to
values in
find.
place. And
Yep.
I think this is one thing. This is one thing I really want to emphasize too. And this is what I make a point to. And I hope Wayne knows that I do it. And I go out of my way to do it. Is that the people that I have worked with me, and like the ones like Wayne, and anyone that does work with us in the future, like, I think it's really important that you make sure that they understand all the time, not just here and there, but all the time, how valuable they are. And at the end of the day, they may not own the company, but they are the company. I wouldn't be where I am without him or any of the people involved that do what we do. The brokers, the packaging people, like the design people, absolutely not. And some people forget that. And you can't do that. And if you want to be successful when you have good people on your team, you got to stop sometimes among all the chaos and things. Sometimes tensions get high, and be like, hey, I love you. I love what you do. and I appreciate everything you do. And, we wouldn't be here without you. And, I just want you to know that. So I think to build a team for us in Iron American, a really good team in the future, is to make sure that those people understand that those are our values and that's what we're going to do. And that will help them do the best job that they can. So,
Yeah, I think that we talked about this earlier about, there's a lot of people that have jobs, right? And they go
yeah,
to their jobs but that's all it is to them. They're just trading time for money. They're not invested in what they're doing. And sometimes we have to do that, right? Remember the saying I told you about? Sometimes you have to do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do.
right.
And I've lived
Yep.
I've lived that mantra my entire life, and sometimes I got to the point where I could do what I wanted to do, and then I had to go back to do what I had to do, right? And
Yeah.
that's the way it is sometimes, but
Yeah.
you're right,
Sometimes you got
valuing.
to take a step back. Sometimes you got to take a step back. And that's the way I felt for in 2020. I was like, great. I'm now stuck for an indefinite amount of time having to play warehouse again,
Mhm.
but it was like you got to take a step back. Sometimes you, like you said, you have to do the things you don't want to do to get where you want to be and where you want to go. So it's just, if you're going to do it, anyone will be successful at what they do is if they just, it's so, like I said before, it's just so cliche. It's if you love what you do. And it's so true because consistency is everything. If you wake up every day and every second of what you're doing to what you think is the right path to become successful is tough, is difficult, is hard, and you look at it as difficult and hard and awful, you're not going to stay with that.
Mhm.
I just, I love what I do, and it. I wake up and carry stress all day, but that's part of what you just said. I'm willing to do those things to get where we want to be and where we want to go. So
Yeah, we talked about that too, about if you really have a passion for something, you're more willing to do those things to know that they get you where you need to go, to do the uncomfortable things, to do the hard things. And then sometimes when you get lucky, when you're doing the things you love, you get into that flow state and the day just goes by like the snap of a finger too. There's those
yep.
moments too. So
Hmm.
not every day is the same, and it shouldn't be the same. I mean, for me, I would drive me crazy if every day was the same.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's the cool thing too, because some days I'm like, oh, I'm just waiting for the skies to fall. Like this is going to be the worst day ever, and I'm like, it's not too bad. And then some days it's the other way. Man, yeah, we can play golf. Yeah, I can get to the gym early. No, that doesn't happen. No, chaos
right,
ensues. Somebody didn't do something they were supposed to do, and forget it. There goes your day.
right.
So you know,
And what
it's
was the
exciting,
line
I
about
guess you
group
could say.
work? What was the line about group work we talked about earlier? I forget. You had like a whole
Oh yeah,
punchline at the end.
it always kind of starts. It leads to this where it's like the entrepreneur test. And I joke around with my buddies
Oh
who kind
yeah.
of do our own high directors or VPs or own their own business, they're entrepreneurs. And I think it's the best joke ever. And some of you probably heard it, where it's like, you want to find out if somebody's successful early on in life, like in grade school, go into a classroom. And when the teacher says, oh, hey, for today, we're going to do group work. And all the ones that are cheering are the ones that probably like the non motivated employees. And then the ones that are sitting there with their head in their hands, those are the business owners, those are the entrepreneurs, because they're like, no matter what happens and no matter what kind of work they do, they're going to have to go and check and make sure that everyone else did what they were supposed to on the team. So, and then the joke goes, it's like, I hope when I die someday that all the people I did group work with can lower me into my grave so they can let me down one last time. So, so
That's a
yeah,
good
it's
one.
so true. It's always a good laugh because everyone knows the group work people. I hated group work. Couldn't stand it.
So did I.
And that's again, it
Yeah.
goes back to the part of the micromanaging thing. It's like I just don't trust you to do the work correctly. But no, it's pretty affable there. So
Yeah, and I know many people watching have got to relate to this. I mean, I
yeah,
totally get what you're saying, and that's not to say everybody's an entrepreneur, or should be. It's just to say that that's a whole other personality trait I think that you and I just happen to both have. So
Yeah.
let's see. Are there any suggestions you could give to somebody who wants to get started on something, but they're really struggling through that? And what are maybe some of the common pitfalls that you see? And this could be like relate to shooting guys. This could relate to fitness. It could relate to
Mhm.
relationships. It could relate to everything. It's not just one thing.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I think it just comes down to consistency. If you're trying too hard to really push to do something, if you're really trying to be like, man, I just, I just don't enjoy this, and I want it, but at the end of the day, I'm like, do you? Like, if you're not
Mhm.
enjoying the journey, and that's what it is. Whether it's, it's sports. Back in, I played college golf and I won, you know, golf tournaments when I was a kid, and I'd win the tournament, and then people would be like, well, you don't seem excited. Like, why? I'm like, well, it was kind of expected. Like, I put in the work, I put in the hard work, and the glory was, the time, the things that no one sees, the hard work that no
Mhm.
one really, and you feel more internally satisfied with that. And it's the journey. So if you're not enjoying the journey of whatever it is that you're doing, maybe it's not something that you really want to do, or maybe it is, and you just haven't found the catalyst that you enjoy of that journey. Like, for example, perfect example, Iron American. Like, if I were making these racks and they just never sold, do you think I would like it? I would just make a really cool gym for myself. But at the end, my goal is to be a successful business entrepreneur, and I probably would have moved on to something else. But the catalyst was that, hey, people like these, people were buying them, people love them, people were giving me great reviews, so that was motivation. So if you can find that catalyst in whatever your journey is, whether it's you're shooting and you set like a really small goal and you do that all the time, I think that's an easy way to get into it. If your goals are too lofty, too long term, it's going to be hard to really actualize that on a short term basis. So um, consistency is everything. So once you start to love something that you do, I think everything else will take care of itself. You'll be successful in anything you do if you just, every day gets up, you do what you need to do, and the stress that comes with it is there. But at the end of the day, you did what you needed to do, and
Mhm.
eventually, you'll be successful in whatever it is.
Right, I totally agree. I did wanna kinda touch on the on the wagon, off the wagon people, right?
Yeah. Yep.
There's
Yep.
a lot of people out there like that, and I've had discussions recently with people who are struggling with being on the wagon, then off the wagon, and that again goes back to consistency. I told you about I thought I saw a reel last night. I think it was Tony Robbins, and he was talking about this very thing, and what he said, if I'm putting this in summary, is and tell me your thoughts on this. He said something to the effect of that if you struggle with consistency, it's because you don't truly believe that you already are or can be whatever it is you're striving to be. So you don't really believe it. You're not really bought into it. So you're just kind of half, I won't say the word, but you're not quite
Yeah.
there. You get
Yeah.
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying? So do you think
I've
there's a
always heard
component
that,
there?
like, try to visualize success. Arnold Schwarzenegger, for all you Arnold fans out there, always said, visualize success, visualize how you want to look. And it's tough, to do that when you haven't been there. And it's hard to
Right.
believe when you haven't
Right.
been there. It's like, again, golf's a great example. Any golfers out there, let's say you're playing, 3 or 4 holes, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, I'm a 20 handicap and I'm like 200 par or something right now. As soon as you do that, you're going to blow it, because you visualize, or you're basically, you believe you're a certain player, and you
Mhm.
internalize that I'm playing out of my realm. I am not playing the level I should be. Quick, let me make a triple bogey, or let me hit one in the water, and sometimes that's just, it's self-deprecation. We kind of, internally and mentally just kind of blow up, and we don't believe, we get uncomfortable, we get in a situation we're not in, like, wow, well, this is uncomfortable for me. Maybe I go back to my comfort zone. And forcing yourself out of that comfort zone is difficult. But like what Tony Robbins is saying, is that that's part of the visualizing thing. Like, maybe I am a better player than a 20 handicap. Maybe I'm a 10. Maybe I'm scratch, whatever it is. And the more times you get to that that point. You get a little bit closer, you may fail. The next time you get a little closer and a little closer. But he's right. If you don't believe that you can be at a certain level or where you want to be, you won't get there.
Mhm.
So you really have to, this is the word I was kind of looking for, identify. You have to identify as someone that does these little things, does the certain tasks. And that leads into kind of we and I were talking about this a little bit, is as far as the fitness thing goes, and how many clients I trained over the years, and the ones who made the biggest changes were always the ones who were able to change how they looked at themselves. They were able to completely change their image. They no longer looked at themselves like whatever they were. They started looking at themselves like who they wanted to be. They're like, this is the new me. These are the new habits that I do. I go to the gym, or I practice, or I whatever. When they are all of a sudden feeling not like themselves, if they don't do those little things, then you've made it. Then they've made it, because those things are now internalized. Those things are now a part of who you are. And that is when those are the most difficult things to do, because they're not what we're used to doing. So if you can make the little habits a new identity, I think that is the key to success.
Wow, that's really powerful stuff.
I've seen it in every single thing, whether it was training, whether it was people in business. It was just, if you're not doing the little things, you've got to feel off. Like, I know, for example, if I don't like work out at least a few times a week, I don't feel like myself. And for a lot of people, that might be like, whoa, that's too much. And then there's other people like bodybuilders, like, whoa, you're really not going to the gym enough. So it's how you identify who you are is what's going to determine where you're going to get to.
Yeah, we could relate that to our shooting with our dry fire programs, whether we're
Mm-hmm.
dry firing every day, how much are we getting out on the range practicing, how much training are we doing it in every
Mm-hmm.
year, things like that. So
Yeah.
we talk about that all the time, about having, regular, I guess, kind of scheduled things that we try to do to get better. So we're getting like really far into this hour already. I just looked at the time and went, "Oh my gosh." So, I wanna make sure that we touch on, a really key thing here before, we wrap up, and that is that you offer, a liquid chalk. And Adam, I'm gonna bring you in on the conversation about this, because Adam has a lot to bring to the table here about this. You have experience with this liquid chalk that Ryan offers. And so, Ryan, why do shooters need chalk, liquid chalk, to begin with?
So it's actually like, it wasn't even, it makes sense because it's for all grip based sports basically. But, we had one of the shooters, Wesley Cronin. He was one of our first sponsors. Wes, if you're watching, how you doing? But he was one of the first guys to buy it for shooting. And he kind of introduced your guys' world to me. Again, it made sense. And he was telling me, oh, we've tried some other things, and this is perfect. This is way better than what we use, because it kind of it fizzles out, or it's too sticky. He's like, this texture, this composition of whatever you've done is like perfect for what we do. And so that's kind of how we got introduced. And he had it. And then obviously it's out in competitions and other people see it, and I give them samples and it spreads around. That's kind of how Adam got involved. So it's kind of opened up a whole new world for us.
Yeah, Adam, do you want to jump in and talk about the story, how you and Ryan kind of got to know each other? I know that you kind of want to touch on that earlier and I missed it. Sorry about that.
Yeah, Ryan, so glad to have you here. But for everybody, to give you kind of the background here, is as a shooter, right? And I'm doing a lot of competitions and all. And as a CrossFitter, we need a lot of chalk on our hands for all the barbell work, the shooting, the everything. And then when I moved to the Phoenix area, suddenly things got a lot slicker in the hands. So I started using more and more chalk. And I started looking for some of the chalk that was out there. It was a little bit different than what was on the standard market. And I was just going through looking for liquid chalk, and I found this stuff right here. right? Iron American. And honestly, because I'm somewhat visually oriented, it was really the design of the bottle that actually got me first. And then I looked at it closer and I liked the name, Iron American. And then I started reading about it. It's all American made, everything like that. So just out of curiosity, I ordered up a bunch and it came in and I started using it. And it seemed to do the best for me of all the chalk I've ever used in the CrossFit world, the shooting world. And I've done that for years. And then from there, I contacted Ryan and it just kind of became a blooming relationship from there. Since then, I've now used this stuff and I've given it to tons of my students to just use in classes, literally from Texas to Colorado to Kansas to wherever. And it seems like everybody I've talked to that uses chalk likes this one a little bit better. So Ryan, when we were meeting or when we were talking on the phone, you told me how you did a bunch of really changes to the formula of this stuff. Can you tell us about it? Because I'm curious, because I use this a lot. It works better for me than most of the chalk I've ever used, so much so that I got curious and contacted you. What are you doing different than the other stuff that's out there?
So I've gotten, obviously, as any good entrepreneur does, he buys, his competition, kind of sees what's out there. And a lot of the ones that we were competing against, they were a lot thinner. They were really dusty. They were sticky, and that's not good for anybody. We have like a very mild, like you'll notice, and whenever you get towards the end, like when you might have to reapply or towards the end of a workout or a shooting session, you'll get a little stickiness, and that's kind of what helps it bind to the hand a little bit longer. But you can overdo it and your hands can be like, just, you can't let go of anything. And that's the problem. If you're trying to transition in your shooting, you got to have the right amount of grit, but you also got to have the right amount of smoothness to be able to know to move your hands around. And if you need to go get another mag, like you got to be able to move quickly. So if your hand's sticking, like forget it. So a lot of them were thinner, a lot of them were too thick, some of them would dry out. So we kind of just beat the supplier down and told them like, hey, this is too thin, this is too thick. And we finally got it kind of just right for everything. So.
And here's the website too, guys. Adam, can you put up that banner? There's a 15% off discount with a promo code DEFEND15, but here's the liquid chalk right here. It's in pink and white.
Yeah, so we have you click into those, we've got a bunch of other options. The pink comes in the big bottle and the small bottle. And then if you click into the white, there's like 20 different variations. You
There's
can get them
the
in
small
larger
bottle
sizes,
on the
small
right.
sizes.
Yeah.
So for you shooters out there, this is the little sport bottle with put on a clip that just hangs on my bag. And so that's what I use quickly. And then when I'm passing it out to people, students here, I've been using this stuff. And honestly, I've been impressed with how well it stays, especially in the sweaty environments of Phoenix. And then recently I trained a bunch of SWAT cops down in Houston. And it was impressive in such a humid environment how well this stuff worked, right? In Colorado, it all works, seems pretty well. But in the hotter environments of Phoenix and then the southern states I've been in, I was just impressed with how well it stayed. So much so I contacted Ryan, and from there it grew. And then from there I heard kind of his success story and where he's going and how he's growing. And I realized, man, we're sitting in front of somebody who has really life lessons for us to hear. And just, Ryan, I'm so glad you're here to be able to just tell us about you and your story and what we can learn from you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been it's been a minute. It's been a journey and it's exhausting. Personally, it's been tough lately, not with the business, but fortunately my father was diagnosed with brain cancer in September.
Oh.
And, luckily he's still with us, and he's doing all the workouts he can and get the weight back on. And I love him very much. And I hope that he gets back to the dad I used to have, but I'm just happy to have him. And then about 5 months after that, my German Shepherd caught aggressive leukemia and passed away 2 months later. So it's been tough. I've lost a lot in the last year. So hopefully with where our brand's going and I've gotten all the bad luck out of the way that hopefully brighter days are ahead. And I can't thank you guys enough for inviting me on. I love talking about our story and I love helping people. And anytime you guys would love to have me back, I'd love to help. And if anytime you have any questions on the liquid chalk, again, we're going to be in like 3,000 stores soon. We're gonna have a really cool the new bottle. It's a new like taller, more cylindrical bottle, and it's more Americanized. It really looks super rugged. I think you guys will love it. But yeah, I'm here. We're gonna be American made, and if you ever need anything, I'm always here. I'm always one email or a phone call away. So
Looks like someone wants to know if you make gun racks, Ryan. Is that in your future?
I saw that. I actually, it's so funny. I just looked the other night. I was like, man, I wonder how many like, gun racks are out there. And I started doing some research and stuff. I'm like, yeah, we could make these. So I'd actually be interested to get some input from some shooters and be like, hey, what would you want on a gun rack? And then once we have the traffic, to the site and we can bang those out. That'd be awesome. I'd love to be part of that. Grow the brand a little bit.
Yeah, branch out, man.
For sure.
We do have a little video here I want to show that you submitted to us about the chalk. So let me run that here real quick. Sweet.
There you go.
Cool. So if anyone's interested in what are you laughing about, Adam? He's muted.
No, he's been muted.
He's muted. Are you good, Adam? He's muted again. That's okay. Anyway, if anyone's interested in that liquid chalk, you can go to ironamerican.com and then when you check out, enter no, it's not. That's Haven Defense Company, Adam. It's the other one.
Yeah. So yeah, Defend 15.
Yeah. 15% off the liquid chalk, just the liquid chalk, but he does, sell lots of other cool products as well. So please be sure to check out ironamerican.com. And Adam, is there anything else that you needed to say before? Okay, cool. Ryan, so is there anything that you want to wrap up with here tonight before we get done? We've mentioned your website, but I know that you're active on other social media as well.
Yeah. So we have a specific page we just started not too long ago, the Iron American Liquid Chalk page. Hopefully we'll be getting a lot of traction there as we get more exposure in those Walmart stores. The Iron American Instagram page, and then my Instagram page as well. And you can find us on Facebook. Like any questions you have, if you're a shooter out there and you're like, hey, like I, do some cool content and I would love to carry your logo or whatever. Like I've got, I don't know, probably at least a half a dozen guys we work with directly, and we get chalk for them, and they do some really cool posts, and they do just like what Wes did for us. They did like a video, and they'll post it on Instagram, and then we'll share it. And then that's kind of all we ask. We don't ask a whole lot more than that with our sponsored peeps. So you can find us for the best pricing. Go to ironamerican.com. If you want to check out like some of the reviews or whatever, we got like 1,300 reviews on Amazon, but you'll get better pricing obviously on our website, and you get the discount code. And you can get 10% off anything that we sell for a first-time buyer, but use that Defend 15 code. And we'll also be doing a bunch of as the holidays are coming up, we'll be doing some sales. So ironamerican.com, get all your chalk there. And if you have any issues, you can always reach out to us directly.
And Glory wants to know, you're not in Walmart yet, but you will be next year,
right? We will be starting next month. Yeah, Glory's part of ISG. Rick and Glory are my go-tos for Walmart. They're a godsend. They're awesome, and they deal with all the red tape and all the new world that we're going into with Walmart. So they've been great for us. And so we'll be in Walmart in mid-November, I would say is a pretty safe bet. But definitely by like Black Friday, you should be able to find us on shelves. So
Cool. That will be very convenient for all of
yes, it
us.
will.
Yes. That's so awesome. Well, Ryan, you have been a pleasure to have on the show. I appreciate your time so
Thank you
much.
so
I
much.
know
Absolutely.
you are like 2 hours. Yeah, you're 2 hours ahead of me, so it's a little bit late there. It might be past your bedtime.
No, I got plenty of work to do. You know that is.
Yeah, I know.
I can't settle down now.
I was teasing. Yeah, I knew
Yeah,
better. No, you've been a pleasure to have on. I appreciate your time. Hopefully we can have you on again too,
for sure.
as time goes on, and maybe you'll have some new products you can offer too as well in the future.
We
But
will. Yep.
yeah, definitely. All right.
Thanks.
Well, I'm gonna let you go for now, but I just want to let you guys know for next week we are going to have Philster. Philster's going to be on next week. John and Sarah Hopman are going to be on. So I don't know if you guys have been getting the emails that I've been sending you, but if you haven't signed up for the email notifications, you can sign up for those at jnltraining.com as well. And if you go there and you sign up for notifications, I'll send you emails out for, what's going on and keep you in the loop. And if you reply to those with questions for any of our guests that are upcoming, I would love to hear from you as well that way. Because I'm always looking for, things that you guys want to know about. That is what's most important to me, is to try to deliver something of value to you guys. So make sure that you email me back if you have questions or if you have feedback, comments, anything. I would love to hear from you. That's what this is all about, and that's why I'm here. So that will be next week. I don't know what the date is today, the 12th. So that would be the 19th would be our next show. It will be Wednesday, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. And we're going to wrap up here for tonight. So until then, thank you all for watching and take care.